I'm going to show how I make my pizza sauce. I found this recipe on the internet and it's pretty good. I'll have the list of ingredients and the links to the original document. For starters, you're going to need 2 tablespoons of butter, a big clove of garlic, about a cup and a half of celery and onions, two 6-ounce cans of tomato paste, and 2 8-ounce cans of tomato sauce. And also 4 tablespoons of olive oil. You want to be careful to get real olive oil. This is pretty good. Most of the olive oil you buy is fake or expired. So we're going to put this stuff into the skillet. There's the olive oil. Tablespoons of butter, for the garlic, I'll use a garlic press. It's a bit easier. For the celery and onions, you want to chop just a little bit finer. finer you chop it, the more flavor you're going to get out of it, but I'm kind of lazy. So I'm going to go ahead and fast forward this because this is going to take a couple minutes. But you just want to put your celery and onions into your skillet after they're chopped. And stir everything around. Okay, now we got the celery and onions and garlic simmering. We can add in the dry spices. You're going to need 2 teaspoons of dried basil. Two teaspoons of oregano. One teaspoon of salt. One-half teaspoon of sugar. One-half teaspoon of black pepper. Two bay leaves. Two teaspoons of fennel. I just use a pepper grinder. I put the fennel seeds in and kind of grind it. Alright, there's our dry spices. I calculated it up. The dry spices are actually very expensive. This is what gives it a lot of its good flavor. I guess that's why you buy cheap pizza sauce. It doesn't taste as good, and it's the reason it's these spices here. Pretty expensive. Okay, we're going to move over to the skillet here. This is our celery and onions that have been simmering for a while. You want to simmer this on, I guess, medium-low heat with the olive oil and the butter and the garlic until it gets a little mushy. I use a cast iron skillet. You can use whatever you like. Okay, now we're going to add the tomato sauce and tomato paste. You can experiment with different kinds of tomatoes. I think some tomatoes taste better. You can even use the whole canned tomatoes. Some people do that. There's a special kind of tomato that supposedly makes better pizza sauce. I have not tried that yet. It is on my list to try though. I forget the name of it. I think they're called San Martin tomatoes. But don't quote me on that. So you just put all 4 cans in. Just kind of incorporate the sauce and the paste together. And your celery and onions. It already smells pretty good with the garlic and the onions and the olive oil cooking together. Okay, we're almost done. Now you just want to sprinkle in your dry spices. I'm going to mix those in. And just sprinkle it on the top. And stir it in. And I use this pizza sauce. I'll mix it with other sauce and I'll make like ravioli with it and other Italian dishes like spaghetti meatballs. It's really good with spaghetti meatballs. But mostly for pizza. I think it's really good for pizza. Okay, and the last ingredient is you want 4 tablespoons of Parmesan cheese. And I use a brick of Parmesan. If you get the bricks, they taste a lot better. You don't want to get the cheap bag stuff. That doesn't taste very good, in my opinion. And you just grate it. This cheese is really good. I sampled some of it earlier. It's got a really tangy, a really strong, tangy taste to it. I mean, it's really good. And I don't really exact measure any of these ingredients. I just kind of eyeball it because I've made it enough times and I know what kind of notice how much you really need. You also might want to get a good cheese grater. This one, it was pretty cheap. I bought it at the grocery store and it does a real good job. You can't skin your fingers on it like some of the other ones, and it grates it really, really well. And that's it for the ingredients. So I'll put this on 2 on my stove, because you don't want to burn it. If you burn it, well, actually, if you burn it a little bit, it actually tastes kind of good. But you don't want to burn it, and you want to let this cook for at least an hour. I let it cook for 2 hours. I'll just let all the ingredients simmer together for 2 hours, and I'll let it sit in the fridge overnight, because then it marinates itself. I think it tastes a lot better if you let it, cool off in the fridge overnight. So if you're making pizza, you probably want to make your sauce at least a day ahead of time. This is enough for 5 large pizzas or 10 small pizzas. A small pizza's a pretty big meal for one person, I think. I'll just make that all at once and store it in the fridge. I'll freeze it for later. I'll measure it out, and then in pizza size quantities, and then put them in separate containers. I'll put them in. This is enough for one small pizza. I'll just divide it up into 10 and put them in these. That's all pre-measured. It's real easy to make a pizza. And you just want to cover this and let it simmer for about 2 hours, and stir it come up and check it about every 15 minutes and stir it, and you'll have some really nice pizza sauce.